I welcome you to my channel. Subscribe and listen to my new stories every day. I pace the length of the room, my gaze locked on the ornate chest resting beneath the mirror. Its polished wood and intricate carvings seem to mock me with their silent promise of secrecy. It's a relic of our shared past, a relic that now feels more like a ticking bomb. The chest was a compromise between us, a promise that we would each have our own personal space, our own secrets, but that those secrets would remain locked unless we chose to unlock them together. It was a test of trust, a physical representation of our mutual commitment. I remember the day we placed our treasures inside, a symbolic gesture of our faith in each other. But lately, that faith seems to be unraveling. Margarita is at the park with her grandmother, leaving me alone with my thoughts and a growing suspicion gnawing at my insides. The faint sound of laughter from the park outside does nothing to quell the storm brewing within me. For weeks, I've noticed her behavior shifting, subtle changes at first, then more pronounced. She lingers near the chest, her fingers brushing its surface as if she's contemplating its contents. It's a silent admission of guilt that I can't ignore any longer. My heart races as I consider what might be inside. I know it's a breach of our pact, but the growing unease outweighs my sense of betrayal. I take a deep breath and approach the chest, my hands trembling as I fumble with the lock. The chest creaks open with a groan that seems to echo through the room. Inside, amidst a jumble of jewelry and trinkets, I find a collection of letters, each one penned with a delicate, flowing script that I recognize immediately as not my own. My breath hitches as I pull out the first letter and begin to read. The words are a painful revelation. The letter describes moments shared with an unnamed lover, their words dripping with affection and intimate details that should have belonged to us. I scan through the letters quickly, each one a dagger to my heart, revealing a clandestine romance I never suspected. Among the letters, I find a selection of rings, each one more elaborate than the last. They are clearly not just gifts but symbols of something deeper. The final piece is a photograph of my wife with another man, their faces flushed with a shared happiness that has always eluded us. The pain is a physical thing, a weight pressing down on my chest as I take in the full scope of her betrayal. It's a violation of the very essence of our marriage, and I feel a surge of anger that I can no longer contain. I slam the chest shut and take a few deep breaths, fighting to regain my composure. Revenge, however, is not a reaction born of rash decisions but of cold, calculated intent. I need to ensure that my retaliation is precise, and that it dismantles the life she's built with such deceit. The plan begins to form in my mind. I will ruin her life, not out of spite alone, but to restore the balance she so casually upset. I know I can't act impulsively, I need to methodically dismantle the world she has betrayed me for. I picture the conversations, the accusations, the ultimate betrayal that will leave her with nothing. My phone buzzes with a message. It's from her, asking about the chest. My heart pounds in my ears. It's the perfect opportunity to set my plan in motion. I respond with a calm I don't feel, suggesting we need to talk as soon as possible. As the afternoon sun casts long shadows across the room, I prepare myself for the confrontation ahead. The chest is closed for now, but the secrets within are just the beginning of the end. What follows will be a chain reaction, a series of calculated moves designed to exact the revenge I believe is my due. The game has begun, and with every tick of the clock, the stakes grow higher. As I wait for her return, I feel a grim satisfaction. Betrayal may have shattered my trust, but it will not go unpunished. The path ahead is clear, and I intend to follow it with unerring resolve. The sun is setting, casting a warm, orange hue across the living room. I glance at the clock, marking the minutes until she walks through the door. My heart pounds with anticipation and a cold resolve. This is not just about confronting her, it's about asserting control and delivering a message she cannot ignore. The sound of the front door opening breaks the silence. I hear her footsteps, light and hesitant, as she approaches. I take a deep breath and straighten my posture, the weight of the chest's contents heavy on my mind. Hey, she calls out, her voice tinged with the usual sweetness that now feels like a mockery. Hi, I reply, my tone deliberately flat. I hear her footsteps stop as she enters the room, and I turn to face her. She looks at me, a hint of confusion in her eyes as she notices my expression. What's wrong? You asked to talk. Sit down, I say, gesturing to the sofa. My voice is firm but controlled. She takes a seat, her posture rigid. The tension in the room is palpable. What's going on? She asks, her gaze flickering nervously around the room. I don't beat around the bush. I found something today. Something that you need to explain. Her face pales slightly. What do you mean? I walk over to the chest, open it, and pull out the letters and rings. I lay them out on the coffee table between us, watching her reaction closely. Her eyes widen, and she instinctively recoils. I thought we had a pact, I say, my voice cold. That we would keep our secrets locked away unless we decided to open them together. Her gaze shifts from the letters to me, panic rising in her eyes. I can explain. Explain. I say, my voice rising with a mix of anger and disbelief. Explain how you've been carrying on with someone else behind my back. Explain the love letters and the jewelry. She takes a deep breath, trying to compose herself. It wasn't what you think. I cut her off. Don't try to justify this. I've read everything, and there's no way to spin this into something acceptable. Her face flushes with embarrassment and guilt. I didn't mean for it to happen this way. It started as something innocent, and it just got out of hand. Out of hand? I echo, incredulous. You're talking about a full-blown affair. How long did you think you could keep this from me? I never wanted to hurt you, she says, her voice trembling. I made a mistake, and I'm sorry. Sorry? I scoff. Sorry isn't going to fix this. She stands up, pacing in front of me. What are you going to do? I look at her, my mind already working through the steps of my plan. I'm going to take action. I'm going to make sure everyone knows the truth. You've made a mess of our lives, and now you'll face the consequences. She freezes, her eyes wide with fear. You can't do that. I can, I say, standing up and moving towards her. And I will. I see the realization dawn on her face, the gravity of her situation sinking in. She steps back, her hands clasped together in a desperate gesture. Please, don't. I'm afraid it's too late for that, I reply. You've broken the trust that was supposed to be the foundation of our marriage. There's no turning back from this. She slumps onto the sofa, tears streaming down her face. What do you want me to do? I want you to understand that your actions have consequences, I say, my voice softening slightly. And those consequences will unfold in a way that's fair, if not kind. The room is thick with tension. I know that the fallout from this confrontation will be significant, but there's no turning back now. I gather the letters and jewelry, carefully placing them back in the chest. Tomorrow, I say, my voice resolute, I'm going to start the process of divorce. I'll make sure everyone knows the truth about what you've done. She looks up at me, her eyes red and puffy. Isn't there any way to fix this? No, I say firmly. The damage is done. We've reached the point of no return. With that, I close the chest and watch as she sinks further into despair. The chest is now closed, but the secrets it holds have unleashed a storm that will change both our lives forever. The path ahead is clear, I will see this through to the end, ensuring that the betrayal she has wrought will not go unanswered. As she remains seated in the dimming light, I turn and walk away, feeling a mixture of resolve and sadness. The finality of my decision is both a relief and a burden, but it's one that must be carried out. The consequences of her actions will unfold, and I will be at the center of it all, shaping the outcome of our shattered lives. Morning light filters through the blinds, casting a soft glow on the room where I sit, making my coffee. The peace of the early hours does little to calm the turmoil inside me. I've been up since dawn, planning the steps that will unravel the life my wife has carefully constructed with her deceit. Each decision is calculated, aimed at ensuring that the consequences of her betrayal are both undeniable and unavoidable. I take a deep breath and finish my coffee, then pick up my phone and dial the number of a close friend, Mark. Mark is a lawyer and someone I trust implicitly. His expertise will be crucial in navigating the complex legal terrain that lies ahead. "Hey, Mark," I say when he answers. "I need your help." "Morning," he replies, sounding groggy but attentive. "What's going on?" "I'm starting divorce proceedings," I say, my voice steady. "There's a lot of evidence of infidelity, and I need to ensure everything is handled properly." "Infidelity?" Mark's tone sharpens with concern. "Are you sure? This sounds serious." "Absolutely," I confirm. "I have letters, jewelry, and even photos. I want to be thorough in this process. Can you help me draft the initial paperwork and guide me through the next steps?" "Of course," he says. "Let's meet later today. We can go over everything and make sure you're covered." "Thanks, Mark," I say, feeling a sense of relief. "I'll see you at noon." I hang up and prepare for the day. The house is eerily quiet. My wife is still in bed, probably exhausted from last night's confrontation. I steel myself for the coming interactions. I need to be both firm and unyielding. As I leave for the meeting with Mark, I glance at the chest one last time. It's now a symbol of both my wife's betrayal and my resolve. I close the door behind me, ready to face the day. At Mark's office, I'm greeted by his efficient secretary and led to his office. Mark is waiting, seated behind his desk, a stack of papers before him. "Good to see you," he says, standing to shake my hand. "Let's get to it." I lay out the evidence on his desk: letters, photographs, and the jewelry. Mark examines everything carefully, nodding as he takes it all in. "This is quite a bit of evidence," he says, looking up. "You're right to proceed with legal action. We'll need to prepare a detailed complaint and file for divorce. We can also use this evidence to support your claims in court. I want to make sure that she knows this isn't something she can just walk away from," I say, my voice tight with resolve. "I want her to face the full impact of her actions." Mark nods. "Understood. We'll outline everything clearly and make sure the court sees the gravity of the situation." We spend the next few hours drafting documents and discussing strategy. By the time I leave Mark's office, the paperwork is ready to be filed. I feel a sense of finality, but the real challenge is still ahead. Back home, I find my wife sitting at the kitchen table, her face etched with worry. She looks up as I enter, her eyes searching mine for some sign of leniency. "I've been thinking," she begins tentatively. "Maybe we can talk this through, find a way to fix things." I put the documents down on the table, their presence a stark reminder of the situation. "There's nothing left to talk about. I've made my decision." Her face falls, and she stands up, her hands shaking. "Please, don't do this. I know I made a mistake, but I'm willing to work on it." "I'm afraid it's too late for that," I say. "The damage is done, and the consequences are already in motion. This is the path we're on now." She bursts into tears, her emotions raw and desperate. "What about Margarita? What about our daughter?" The mention of Margarita tugs at my heart, but I force myself to stay focused. I'm considering her best interests, too. I'll make sure she's taken care of, but this is something that needs to be resolved. It's not just about us anymore. I gather the papers and head to the courthouse to file the divorce petition. Each step feels heavier than the last, but I remind myself that this is necessary for justice and for my own peace of mind. The process is surprisingly smooth, and by the end of the day, I have the official paperwork in hand. The reality of the situation is sinking in. I'm now in the midst of a legal battle that will determine the course of our lives. As I drive back home, I feel a mixture of exhaustion and determination. The confrontation has been brutal, but it's only the beginning. The next steps will involve legal battles, emotional strain, and a re-evaluation of everything I thought I knew about my marriage. When I arrive home, the house feels different, like it's holding its breath, waiting for the next chapter to unfold. I know that my wife will be facing the repercussions of her actions, and that the coming days will be difficult for both of us. The chest of secrets may be closed, but the effects of its contents are far from over. The days following the filing of the divorce petition are fraught with tension and anticipation. The house feels like a battleground, and every interaction with my wife is strained. Despite my resolve, I can't shake the feeling that something more insidious might be at play. I've been waiting for the right moment to confront her once more. The legal proceedings are moving forward, but I need to ensure that the full truth comes to light. I've been digging deeper into the affair, piecing together fragments of information that might reveal additional betrayals. It's late one evening when I decide to confront her with what I've discovered. The house is dark, with only the dim light of the street lamps casting shadows through the windows. My wife is in the kitchen, her back turned to me as she absent-mindedly stirs a pot on the stove. "I need to talk to you," I say, my voice cutting through the silence. She stiffens, her shoulders tensing. "About what?" she asks, her tone defensive. "I've found something else," I say, walking towards her. "Something that changes everything." I lay out a set of documents I've been carefully compiling, bank statements, receipts, and more incriminating evidence that suggest her infidelity went beyond what I initially uncovered. The evidence paints a picture of deceit and manipulation, involving not just her lover but other accomplices. Her face pales as she scans the documents. "Where did you get this?" "It doesn't matter," I reply, my voice cold. "What matters is that it confirms my suspicions. You've been living a double life, and the damage you've done goes far beyond what I initially thought." She looks at me, fear and regret etched into her features. "I didn't mean for it to get this far. I was foolish, and I'm sorry." "Sorry?" I say, the anger in my voice rising. "Sorry doesn't begin to cover it. You've betrayed me in ways I never imagined." Before she can respond, I take out a USB drive and insert it into my laptop. On the screen, I show her a series of videos, surveillance footage I've obtained of her meetings with her lover and other conspirators. The footage reveals intimate conversations, financial transactions, and further evidence of her duplicity. "Do you see now?" I ask, my voice barely containing my fury. "You've been plotting and lying, and I have proof of everything." Tears stream down her face as she tries to find words to justify her actions. "I was trying to build a future with him. I thought." "Thought what?" I interrupt. "That you could betray me and get away with it." "I'm sorry," she repeats, her voice breaking. "There's no redemption for this," I say, feeling a cold satisfaction. "You've not only betrayed me but also endangered everything we built together. You have to face the consequences." I walk out of the kitchen and head to the garage, where I've stashed a series of documents and evidence for the upcoming court hearings. As I sort through everything, I notice a final piece, an envelope marked with a name that isn't my wife's but belongs to someone she was working with. I open the envelope and find a letter detailing a plan to dismantle my reputation, to ruin me financially and socially if I ever found out about the affair. The letter is a chilling revelation of the extent of the conspiracy. Realization dawns on me. The betrayal wasn't just personal, it was a calculated attack on my life. Rage surges through me, and I know I must act decisively. I return to the kitchen, my demeanor icy and determined. "I've uncovered the full scope of your betrayal," I say. "And it involves not just you but others who were complicit." She looks at me, her eyes wide with fear. "What are you going to do?" "Make sure everyone knows the truth," I say. I'll expose everything, your deceit, the conspiracy, and the plans you had to destroy me. No one will escape the fallout. The next few days are a whirlwind of activity. I work with my lawyer to compile the evidence and prepare a comprehensive report. I contact the media, providing them with exclusive details about the betrayal and the plot against me. The story spreads quickly, and the public reaction is intense. As the story unfolds, my wife becomes a figure of scandal and disgrace. The revelation of her betrayal and the conspiracy against me creates a storm of outrage. Her lover and the others involved are also exposed, their reputations in tatters. In the midst of the chaos, my wife is left with nothing, her relationships, her standing, and her sense of security all dismantled. The legal proceedings are finalized, and our divorce is granted. The damage done is irreversible, and our paths diverge completely. The final act of retribution is both satisfying and painful. The betrayal that began as a personal betrayal has now become a public spectacle. My wife and I part ways, our lives irrevocably changed. The vengeance I sought has been achieved, but it comes at the cost of everything we once had. As I look back on the events, I realize that the end was inevitable. The secrets, the lies, and the betrayal have all led to this moment of finality. The chest of secrets is now a distant memory, replaced by the harsh reality of retribution and the shattered remnants of a once shared life.